Empire.
Beal back to Hachimura.
First off, happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
It was more just shocking to hear from him and understanding that he gets the most assists from me and the most spoon-fed baskets ever.
You know, the culture is actually damn good.
To sit up there and to say you don't have a culture problem in the nation's capital, everything about the organization points to a culture issue.
One guy took a in another guy's shoe.
I'm a little pissed off about it, but I know how I am. I was kind of expecting it. It's disrespectful.
It was like Eric Killmonger going for total domination. What's up is mine.
We're not going to be fucking sunk this year. We're the Stanley Cup champions! Yeah!
This podcast is all over social media, so follow us on Twitter at Beltway Bro Pod, Instagram at Beltway_sports_bros_podcast. Also the Facebook group, just search Beltway Sports Bros Podcast. And you can also find us at BeltwaySportsBros.com. There's a podcast player right on the front page. If someone you know doesn't want to or know how to download a podcast app or even knows what a podcast is, just tell them to go to the website and hit play. Simple as that. Thank you for joining us today. We are the Beltway Sports Bros. I'm Matt Vazana, and as always, my brother Noel. Hey, Noel, we made it. We fucking did it. It's finally here. It's our 100th episode.
Triple digits.
Yeah.
100. Shouldn't we have like Ric Flair music or something?
I don't know if we're able to
trademark
that. Yeah. I don't think Bram would be very happy. I'm sure you can find some, generic Ric Flair music, though.
Yeah, like that keyboard.
Beep, beep, beep. I'm sure some internet composer put something together.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
It's an exciting time, man.
Exciting time.
We got a loaded show today, too.
Got a long show. Buckle up, everybody.
Buckle up. Invest.
Hopefully you have a long drive ahead of you or a flight of some kind.
You think the Justice League Zack Snyder cut is long. We got news for you.
You know, it's out now.
It is, man. I'm going to be watching it tonight. I'm excited about it. There's already been some reviews out. I've steered clear of the internet. It just sucks because you got that and you got the tournament. And the tournament goes on until freaking midnight. So when the hell am I going to watch this 4-hour movie? It just came out at the worst possible time together. Now, it went from nothing on TV to now it's just loaded.
It's Warner Brothers because they hate Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. They're like, let's put it out at the beginning of March Madness.
Right.
That's when we should do it. And there's been no promotion for it really outside of the internet.
Yeah. And him getting on like Zoom. We probably could have had him on this show, the amount of promotion that he's done with this thing.
I tried, Noel. I tried.
You dropped the ball on that big time.
I'll do better next time. No, but you mentioned that the 4-hour show. I've got 3 TVs in my cave over here, so I plan on having 2 different games on. Plus the movie.
You multitasker, you. And then playing video games, too, at the same time?
Nah, I won't do that.
All right.
I'd need an extra TV for that. Maybe on my phone.
Yeah.
Play a little Transformers or whatever it is that you play.
Transformers Earth Wars, man. Check it out, everyone. Very nostalgic. Very nostalgic. But, hey, the tournament, man, I love it. We missed it last year. A lot of these teams, you don't know what the hell they have to offer because some of them have played so few games. I mean, there's a couple teams in the tournament that played like 14 games. And, I know you don't know all the obscure teams, but you know the big time teams and you know the higher ranking teams. And there's some games. Look, I'm just going to give a couple sleeper teams that everybody should put in their bracket.
I already did my bracket. We could have had this conversation beforehand, Thanks,
I didn't know I was here to help you. I'm here to help our fans. So look out for Creighton, Winthrop. Love that team, Winthrop. It's the old-fashioned 5-12 upset game. Put Winthrop deep. Also, little Georgetown, our Hoyas.
I think I have them winning the first round.
Absolutely, yeah.
I have Maryland beating your UConn Huskies.
That's tough, man. That's really tough. I know we're a D.C. area show, but I have loved UConn basketball since like late 80s, early 90s. Hardcore UConn fan through thick and thin when they couldn't make a breakthrough from the Elite Eight to the Final Four. Born and raised in Maryland, went to Maryland, but I saw that matchup. I was like, and it was the last bracket on the selection. I'm like, where the hell is UConn and Maryland at? And then all of a sudden, Mr. Gumble, boom, it appears. And I was like, oh, the 7-10 game, UConn, Maryland. But I picked UConn in that game. They're a nice little squad, man. Maryland's good too. But in that one, I just had to go with who I thought was the better team versus trying to go with heart. UConn is that's the first team besides the Wizards that I really was invested in as far as basketball goes.
All right, so you mentioned with your heart. So which heart were you going with? Who's winning that game?
UConn. UConn's winning the game.
All right. You confused me when you said heart because I wasn't sure who the hell you were talking about.
Oh,
it's got to be a tough one for you.
It is, but I mean, I remember going to the UConn-Maryland game when they played at the Carrier Dome to go to the Final Four. You know, that Lonnie Baxter team, that whole deal. Went over there, froze our asses off in there, and I was just sitting in my seat. And, you know, at that point, again, UConn has had issues in the Elite Eight get in there, so I admit I was rooting pretty hard for UConn at the time, but
the truth comes out here. All
yeah,
right.
either way, I'll be okay.
Well, good. All right, well, we'll look out for that, Noel. We can talk about that next week.
Who do you have winning it? We haven't even talked about it.
I have a sleeper pick. That would be the Gonzaga Bulldogs.
Oh.
Yeah, big sleeper there.
Big sleeper.
Were they 29-0, whatever?
Yeah, I have the same thing. I have Gonzaga, Illinois going to the final. Should be good. Hey, Gonzaga deserves one. They really do. They've been there. They fought through. They did it the right way. Raised that program. And it would be a great story.
They got a little commercialized, though. I remember when they were like a Valpo back in the day. You know?
Oh, no. Absolutely. It's not their fault. They got big time and they got recruits. They started to become a big-time program, but they started from the ground up, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, they
started from the ground up, and, you know, it would be, after everything they've been through and some heartbreaking losses and being the Cinderella story, to be the last team to go undefeated since Indiana back in, like, 76, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So, again, it's March Madness. You got to talk about it, and it's something to look forward to.
Absolutely.
Big weekend.
You know, people that don't even watch college basketball throughout the year, much like myself, of course you're going to watch March Madness. There's nothing better.
Oh, absolutely.
We'll be keeping tabs on that. I'm sure we'll talk about that on Tuesday.
But before you get to the tournament, you've got our 100th episode that you got to listen to. So,
well, they're
drink
listening
some
to
coffee
it right now. They're currently listening to it, Noel, if they're hearing our voices.
Well, don't be distracted like Matthew and freaking have 3 TVs on and then us in your ear. I want full concentration on our podcast.
Well, we do have a big show, like you mentioned. Packed full, to say the least. Coming up next, we're going to be joined by Washington play-by-play announcer, the voice of the WFT, whatever you want to call him, Bram Weinstein. I think we'll be talking some Washington football with him. What do you think?
Yeah.
More than likely.
Yeah, more than likely. It's kind of his jam at this point.
After that, we're going to have our very first guest, the OG, original guest. One of our personal favorite guys, Matt Modderno, of course, talking some Wiz. And putting those powers combined of Wizards and play-by-play announcers.
Super friends.
On Tuesday, we're going to have the voice of the Wizards, Justin Kutcher, on. I'm super excited about that.
Hopefully he likes us better than he likes Ben Simmons.
I don't think that's hard. He definitely won't like you more than Ben Simmons. But
Yeah, definitely not.
I'm
definitely
much more likable. I'm a lovable figure. All right, so up next is Bram, and then Modderno, and then, hey, top 5.
The cherry on top.
Can't have a 100th episode without the top 5. That's
no
our
way.
thing.
Absolutely not. It's our thing.
So, on to Bram.
Support for this podcast comes from PayPal. Small business owners, turn your smartphone into a cash register. PayPal QR codes are the safe and easy way to get paid in store, and they deliver the same security and trust PayPal is known for online, in person. Even if you're a cash-only business, with PayPal QR codes, you can accept credit or debit with everyday low fees. There's no additional hardware or software needed. Generate your unique QR code from the PayPal app and display it on your device, or print it to display in store. Customers scan your code with their PayPal app. You only need your smartphone. Learn more at paypal.com/us/getqrcode.
Let's welcome back the voice of your Washington football team, host of the Bram Weinstein Show on ESPN 630, which you can hear daily from 3 to 6. And, of course, the founder of our podcast company, Empire Media, Mr. Bram Weinstein. How you doing, sir?
Hello, people.
Hey, man.
Hey, welcome to the 100th episode spectacular.
Ooh.
I know.
You know, when you said you were inviting me for the 100th episode, I actually felt very special by that. I really did. You had no other options, obviously, but I felt very special. It felt special to me.
Well, it only made sense, you know. We have to. And
I appreciate it.
No, appreciate the time. And obviously, we've got some news coming out of Ashburn this week, a little bit. And we'll get into that in a second. But I wanted to ask you, I think the last time we talked about it, you were going into your first season as the Washington football play-by-play announcer. Looking back, how was it? Was it everything you thought it would be? Was it all it was cracked up to be?
It was, actually. I mean, it was, and I'm not just saying that. It was as fun as I thought it would be. There were two parts that I wish were different that nobody had any control over. We could not travel to the road games, so we did all the games out of FedEx Field, which was fine, but we're calling it off TV, so it's not the same.
Right.
And there were barely any crowds, and that was hard. I would love to know just a couple of them. I would like to know what the sound in the stadium would have been when Philadelphia was up 17-0 in the opener, and then what the sound in the stadium would have been if people were still there, when they came back and won. And then I'd really like to know what the sound in the stadium would have been when Heineke scored that touchdown in the Tampa Bay playoff game. I cannot imagine what that would have been like. So that part was really missed, and that part's probably going to be weird and take some getting used to next year, when I assume that we'll have at least a decent percentage of the stadium allowed back in. So that'll be really cool for next year. And I can't wait to travel. And I would have been really pissed because they're going to Vegas this year. I would have been really pissed if the at Vegas game, which happens every 4 to 8 years, happened last year and I couldn't go.
Right, yeah.
So I'm pumped about that one.
Hopefully you can make it into the announcing booth after a night in Vegas. I guess that remains to be seen.
We'll see how that goes. What I'm praying for from the schedule makers is the old Thursday night Washington at Vegas, which then lets me stay there the whole weekend. That's like the all-time gift.
If you need somebody to carry your bags, I'm here for you, man. I'll go to that game with you.
I'll go and do it like one of those dog crates. I'll just hide in one of those, like a.
But it had to be eerie, though, especially initially with nobody there and just crickets in the stadium, and you see these big plays, and even as an announcer, I guess you kind of feed off the crowd to a certain extent.
Oh yeah,
and then you're saying touchdown, and the only people celebrating are the sideline players.
Honestly, the first few games, it was probably better off because I was so zoned in on the game and the boards and not screwing up that it probably was just better off, that nobody was there bothering me or making me nervous or anything like that. So that was probably a gift that happened. By the end of it, though, it became like it was missing, like these big moments, like Chase Young's running for a touchdown and there's no noise in the stadium. It's weird. It's just weird.
Took it away from me just watching it on TV. It's like it was kind of just weird. I don't know, but I don't know.
It's coming
We're
around.
Almost there.
It's coming around.
Yeah. And it would be, overall it was a blast. Sure. It was everything I thought it would be. It was really literally the most fun thing I've ever done. It was so fun.
Yeah. Well, I was watching, when Alex Smith got the comeback player of the year, the NFL awards, whatever it's called, and your voice was on there when he was the NFL films kind of thing that they do. I mean, it just brings me back to like Frank Herzog and everything, like watching those old clips. And that was it must have been so badass to be able to watch that and be like, holy shit, that's my voice, That's
weird. I don't really, and this, someone mentioned this to me the other day because I hadn't seen this, but I guess there was some documentary on the death of Randy Savage, and I guess I was on SportsCenter the day it happened, so I broke the news, and so they used the clip of me breaking the news that Randy Savage died, and they were like, that was weird. And I've heard myself on a couple of other things where it just pops up. I get so self-conscious about it that I almost can't listen to it or watch it. I just, it's funny. I really like this Ryan Fitzpatrick guy because I think we have a lot of the same mentality about things. I have an ego, I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't, but I feel like I'm very humble about it. And I don't like seeing this stuff. And I actually don't like a lot of the attention around it. So I won't grow a beard like him or call myself Bram Magic.
Very few can.
But
hopefully you won't bounce around like him though.
I hope not. I mean, I hope I'm not in my 9th city over the next
Texans are up next.
Years. I also don't want his 7 kids. I don't want that one either. That we also don't have in common.
Knew he had a lot of kids. I didn't know it was 7. I was like, holy cow, he's just knocking them out, man.
Yeah, he's not kidding. He should name him after every team he plays.
There you go.
He's almost there. Maybe that's what he's going for.
Bills. That's Tampa Bay.
This is football team.
Yeah, this is team.
FB. Yeah. Let's talk about that, right? So a lot of moves, few really good ones for our favorite football team, but everyone seems pretty excited about this Ryan Fitzpatrick deal, and obviously the other two signings. I mean, what are your thoughts on it?
So I think their options got limited. The whole, it's going to be the craziest quarterback market ever did not materialize whatsoever.
Nope.
At some point, they had to get another quarterback. I think that was obvious. And I think they got the best one available. And that was, available to them at the time. I guess if Mariota is cut, which is going to happen, you could argue maybe that was the way to go. Or if Sam Darnold gets traded for nothing crazy, you could argue that would have been a better way to go. But I think they decided they needed to get somebody in here that could be a caretaker and they felt comfortable with. And I think they're doing okay. And he said this today during his press conference where he said, I'm playing my best football now. And the metrics prove that out. I mean, if you see that. So, I don't think anyone's like jumping up and down going, oh, here we go to the Super Bowl. But one, I think it's going to be fun. Two, like for the first time in a while, at least on the field, there's good vibes attached to this team. He feels like a good vibes guy. He feels like he's going to YOLO this. I actually think it's going to be fun to have him around. And if they do draft a quarterback, which I think is an open question mark right now, or if they don't, I think he's a caretaker for them. And if their defense is going to play like it did a year ago, then maybe he will play in his first playoff game and we could have another little ride here. They were not far away from beating Tampa Bay with Taylor Heineke, so I don't put a lot past them here. But I'm excited about Fitzpatrick. Just he seems like he's going to be fun and good vibes, and whatever happens in the quarterback room, they draft somebody or not, it's not going to bother him. There's not going to be a problem.
Right.
Like if they brought Trubisky in here or Darnold in here, these dudes are going to be gripping it. They're going to know that like this is my second chance. If I fail here, I'm going to be a backup forever. It's never going to work for me. This guy can walk in here and get his beard trimmed and go, hey boys, let's go have some fun on Sunday and hopefully keep the good vibes going.
I really like him, but I just don't understand what the end game is. It feels like you're just kicking the can down the road. You're doing the same thing again. Now you're bringing in the atypical stopgap guy. He's been a stopgap, like we said, 9th team going on.
I agree with you.
And I don't know, you're just delaying the inevitable where you're going to end up in the same situation again next year where you're going to have to bring another guy in. I would have rather have seen Mariota or Darnold. At least in that way, you have a young guy and you know what you get. You bring him on a 1-year deal just like you did with Fitzpatrick, and it's bang or bust. With Fitzpatrick, I feel that he's one of those really highs, really lows. The guy can throw for 500 yards, 5 touchdowns, 4 picks. You don't need a gunslinger guy. You just don't. I like him a lot. I love watching him play, and I like him as a person. He's great to listen to. But as far as for this football team, I just don't see it.
I don't totally disagree with you. I mean, do you want to give up a 2nd-round pick for Darnold and find out he's not your guy? That's an interesting question. Did you want to pay Mariota $20 million and give up an asset to find out whether he's your guy or not and not do the same shopping? That's an open question. They could have waited out Mariota to get cut. I don't think Darnold will be. I think he'll be traded to somebody. I don't even if they go in a different direction, I think they're going to trade him. And so I think that they just got to, once Cam re-signed with New England, and they clearly didn't want Trubisky because they could have had him.
Right.
I think they got left with, what do we do here? And I don't disagree this is a kick the can down the road, but I think it's what their options were. They ended up not being able to get Dak. They don't want to pay 18 first-round picks to get Watson or Wilson. And your options are what your options are. Keim keeps saying over and over that he thinks that this is a precursor to them drafting a quarterback relatively early. And I still think that that's potentially circumstantial, but it makes more sense if they do that Fitzpatrick be the guy that's there and not Darnold or Mariota. So maybe that is the direction they're going, that they are eyeing, I don't know, Trey Lance, Mac Jones, Kyle Trask, because they're clearly not getting one of the top 2 guys or 2 or 3 guys. And they feel like it's a better room for someone there. And then this thing really gets unleashed in 2022, because it does feel like on the whole, they are heading towards a much more complete unit. But the big problem is the quarterback. And I agree with you. But, for a year, I think this is a satisfactory ending for them.
If you bring him in as a starter and you know that this team will probably, let's say they go 8-8 with him as the starting quarterback, and they don't draft a quarterback this year, you're in the same boat. You're at a middle first round team. You're hovering around that period where you're at a question mark quarterback situation again in the draft. And that's why I said you're going on a carousel. It's the same thing over and over again. And then what if you get stuck with a stopgap guy again? I really felt they should have swung for the fences, even if they had to give up a chest of gold to get somebody good.
Well, I mean, they did. They tried for Stafford.
Right.
And they didn't get
that
one. I mean, they did try for that.
Yeah.
And they gave up what is a typical market value deal. Just the Rams came along and offered really something ludicrous.
Right.
Frankly, the guys never won a playoff game. They gave up a ridiculous amount of assets for it. And I appreciate that they're not doing that. And if you want Russell Wilson, I mean, if the reporting is true that they turned down 3 first-round picks, a third, and 2 starters for Russell Wilson, then what in the world was Washington going to give up to get him? Right? Nothing. Like nothing. What do they want? We'll take Chase Young, Montez Sweat, and 3 first-round picks. Oh, I bet you will, pal.
Yeah,
I bet you will take that.
That's what Noel wanted to do.
The options are what the options are. And, I agree. Like, this doesn't inspire major confidence. There's going to be some massive run here. I do think they're in pretty good hands. I do think the season's going to be fun. I do like him. And if they do draft a quarterback, certainly he's done this. He's been on that rodeo before. He knows it. And this could be a precursor towards everything else. What I do like, really what's happening is building around it. The issue is, who is going to be their answer at quarterback? And I think it's got left unanswered because of options, not because of hesitation on their part.
Totally agree. See, Noel? Bram agrees.
Sorry, guys.
Well, let me ask you about that. You mentioned Sam Darnold and Mariota. There's reports out there that Washington is still in the running to potentially trade for them or pick up Mariota. I don't see that. I don't see that happening. But what do you think? I mean, is that even a possibility at this point?
I don't see Darnold now. I think if they really wanted to, because you have to trade for him. They're not going to release him, even if because I think the gig's up with the Jets. They're either going to pick Zach Wilson or they're going to somehow get Deshaun Watson. And so they're going to get rid of Darnold. The question is, but they're not going to get rid of him for free. He's not going to get cut, and someone's going to give up a pick for him. So you have to decide that. Mariota's about to get cut. I mean, that's going to happen. Do you bring him? Does he even want to come here under this scenario on a 1-year deal that's cheap money and not even know that he would be the starter and probably lose that competition? I doubt it. And the other guy should be freaking out right now is Kyle Allen. I mean, because with all of this kind of circulating, I would be concerned if I'm him that my spot is tenuous at best. And if they do draft a quarterback or bring in Mariota, he's going to get cut. I mean, I don't think there's kind of any way around that. But I think this signing was a finality on Mariota and Darnold, but I could be proven wrong on that.
Don't you think that Rivera has, I've always felt, since even with the Panthers, that he's had this hard on for Kyle Allen more than anybody. He loves to give him chance after chance after chance, even more than Heineke. Yeah, Heineke played really well in the playoff game and everything, but I think Heineke would probably be the odd man out. I could be completely wrong, but I just feel like he's got this thing.
Because they gave him the money that they gave him, yeah. I don't feel that way, actually. After they gave him the deal that they gave him, which is really structured as backup money, but for 2 years and a kind of a staggered structure with incentives, I don't see how they just go the other way.
Well, they could release him easily, though, without really any cap hit.
They can release Kyle Allen without any cap hit.
Literally with no cap hit, yeah.
Yeah, with no cap hit. So I would be concerned if I was him. And I don't know, he's not the first with this. I mean, Jay Gruden loved Colt McCoy for some particular reason and loved Ryan Grant for some particular reason. And I think every coach has probably their favorites that everyone else in the outside world is going, I get it, but he's not Tom Brady. So can we just move on now?
Right.
Yeah.
The one thing I am really a big fan of with Fitzpatrick is bringing in the Curtis Samuel situation. Is going to bring 2 guys because he loves to toss it around. I mean, these guys are going to have a blast with him, McLaurin and Samuel. And Logan Thomas, too. They've got some skilled spots now, and that I'm excited about to see.
Yeah, I think, last year was how are they going to score?
Right.
Because it's Terry McLaurin and who else exactly? And, oh, by the way, Trent Williams isn't here anymore. And can Haskins play? And I was very concerned it was going to be a really terrible offense. And frankly, in the end, they were a bottom third, playing with 4 different quarterbacks and not getting the ball down the field very much. But clearly things emerged here. McKissick turned out to be everything they thought he would be as a receiver, really more than anything. Logan Thomas turned out to be a lot better than people gave him credit for and became a good target for them. But what they have now is versatility. What we did not see Antonio Gibson do last year was what he did in college, which was play receiver, right? I think they wanted to use the year to teach him how to be a running back. with Curtis Samuel on the team, who was a running back as well, in college has been converted to a receiver, you have massive flexibility with players. I think McLaurin gets to move outside a heck of a lot more than he did in the past. He won't have to work the middle as much. Samuel can do that. Samuel can be a running back. Gibson can be split out. I think world's the oyster here for Scott Turner. They have an opportunity to do a lot of different things with a lot of very versatile players now. I love this signing.
Me too.
And I love him at the price. They have to pay him $20 million a year. He is not a number one receiver, but I think he fits exactly what they're looking for, which is extremely versatile players. And they are fast now. Gibson is fast. This guy's running like a 4.3. McLaurin is scary fast, and he never gets credit for all of that. So there's a lot of versatility here that I really, really like about this. I still agree with you that in the end, this is not the long-term quarterback. And when they find who that is, if they can keep this group together, I think that they have the makings of a really solid unit to go along with that defense. And that's when we start talking about what does it really look like in January and February for this team. But I do like the makings of what's coming together. And I've been all over wanting Samuel since they played him in December. I was like, that guy is perfect for exactly what they're trying to build here. It's just I'm hoping if they are a team that is predictable, that's an indictment of coaching, because they should not be with this group of talent that they have now.
Samuel had his best season when Scott Turner left. So hopefully that doesn't translate over that way.
You know what, too? McCaffrey was hurt all year. And I think that's important here. Like, McCaffrey got the lion's share of balls thrown his way. He was the leading receiver and leading running back. I mean, everything went through him. He didn't play for the majority of the season, so they had to go elsewhere.
Right.
And so I think all that happened with Samuel was he showcased he can do a lot of different things. And I think that's what's important. He can be on the outside. It's probably not his strength. He's definitely incredible in the slot, and he can be a running back. There's a lot of versatility here, and I love the idea of getting matchups with Gibson, too, in open space, and making a defense try to adjust to that with all three of them on the field. I think there's a lot of mismatches that can occur here.
And going to the other big signing, the William Green signing, which I called that one.
You called William Green? That was a good call.
Oh, sorry. Ah, shit.
Who is William Green?
Anyway, William
I know
Jackson.
the editor. It's okay.
Yeah, you know the editor. But a lot of people are saying that's a wash because they lost out on the Darby situation. I think he's better. I think he has a lot of upside. I think he played very well with the Bengals. He was honestly highest on my board that's really the corner that I wanted to have if they didn't get Darby back, because Darby was just familiar with it. But Rivera gets corners paid, man.
Yeah, he does. He's been on a really atrociously bad defense the last couple of years. So he'll be, I'm sure, very happy to be on one that isn't that. I think this offers an opportunity to play more man than Washington has in the past. And I think they want that because they want to be aggressive, not only with the front, but they started bringing people like Cam Curl as the season was progressing. So I think they want to be aggressive with Collins and Curl if Collins is healthy. They're going to need corners that know how to play man. And they got one. When they let Darby go, I wasn't surprised. Once that price hit what it hit, excuse me, I was not surprised. I didn't think that they wanted to go to that length to pay him that money. I was then a little surprised that they went above and beyond it to get William Jackson, and he's got some injury history, so there's a concern there with all of that. But outside of it, I kind of lean on some of the people who grade this stuff for a business, and Pro Football Focus like freaked out and said this is a massive upgrade for Washington. So in general, I look at this and go, okay. I mean, they got a pure man cover corner now. We know they have a pass rush. I mean, really the real win-win-win, they need to move on to linebacker now and figure something out there. But the win-win-win with Ryan Kerrigan having not signed with anybody yet, if that price gets low enough and he just wants to hang around, that would be the ultimate win-win-win of the offseason that he comes back.
Yeah, I wouldn't be against that.
No,
at all,
me either. I think he would add a lot to the rotation. I mean, especially if he knows his role. I think he still had the delusion that he was going to be a starter somewhere. And I think it's maybe humbling him a little bit. Not that he's not a humble person, but yeah, the market's going to tell him that.
We'll see. I mean, I keep thinking he's going to get offered more on the market than Washington would give him. But if it kind of comes back to them again, then he may not want to leave. And then at that case, I think that would be a win if that works out that way.
Absolutely.
Well, I think we've kept you on too long, Bram. So,
well, I got one last question for you.
Do you?
Have you done a bracket?
Yeah, I mean,
who you got?
All right, so I mean, I don't know how I ended up with 3 Big Ten teams in the Final Four, but I did. So it's one of those things where you look at it and you go, I know this isn't happening.
Right.
It's just a waste of time. I have Michigan playing Baylor in the championship and Baylor winning the whole thing. So that's what I went
No
with.
Gonzaga, huh? You're not on that
They're
train?
not going undefeated.
No?
Like, come on.
No? All right. We'll
Undefeated?
see. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Is that who you got? Gonzaga?
Yeah, I got Gonzaga, Illinois in the final.
So wait a minute, you root for the little guy there, but you don't like Fitzpatrick. Got it. Okay. Well, that makes a lot of sense. Oh, you're all over that underdog. Oh, okay. Plucky Gonzaga. Okay.
Go Bulldogs. Rah, rah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, all right, man. Well, thank you again for coming on. Hey, it's our 100th episode. Appreciate the opportunity that we're even on your amazing network. And hey, another 100 episodes. Hopefully we'll make it. I'll die trying.
You guys do 8 a week, so I'll be on next month?
Exactly.
200.
Yeah, slowing down a little bit.
Slowing down.
All right, boys. I'll talk to you soon.
Hey, thanks a lot.
Welcome to your Internet Minute from AT&T Fiber, where we demystify your internet connection. All right, so today I want to talk gaming. The key to winning? Low latency. You see, high latency means a high ping rate, which causes, lagging. And that actually does impact whether you can score that final goal when duking it out online. Okay, so for a winning gaming experience, you want ultra-low latency. Makes sense, right? Ultra-low latency is the result of high upload speeds. Pro tip, you want AT&T Fiber. With 20 times faster upload speeds, AT&T Fiber delivers a faster internet experience than cable. And you're looking at an under 11 millisecond ping rate. So for all you gamers out there, get AT&T Fiber and maximize your gameplay. Unlimited internet data included. No annual contract. Visit att.com/getfiber. And keep tuning in for more Internet Minutes. Limited availability in select areas. Speeds not guaranteed and vary based on combined upload and download speeds versus major cable providers. 1 gig service with uploads at 35 megabits per second. Other factors may impact on game lag. Individual results will vary. Restrictions apply. Check availability at att.com/getfiber.
Empire. All right, then. On to the next guest for our huge 100th episode here. You know, he was our first guest ever. You may know him. He's been on a few times now at this point. He even you actually substituted for me once, which was a big deal. I never had that.
we had a knockout drag out, just the two of us.
Quite possibly the worst episode ever.
It was good. It was damn good.
No, it was probably the worst we've ever had.
Get out of here. It was great. We got rid of the third wheel, Matt. It was nice. We just got to go whiz all out.
Love it.
All out. You know, honestly, looking back, do you remember our first interaction?
No, do I?
No. I just messaged you on Facebook, and you were nice enough to message me back. I think, no, we were in like maybe our third week of the podcast.
We were fledgling at that point.
Yeah.
Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
We just got out of the cave, you know, sounded like we, you know, had a real microphone after that, and it was pretty exciting.
Is anyone else tearing up a little bit?
You know, I remember these things, you
That's
know,
nice.
it's sad that you don't.
Well,
you know, I thought we had something special, Matt.
It's because you're big time.
I just felt like I was part of the family from the start. That's all.
And you are.
You're the third bro, man.
Yeah,
you're
you
the
are.
third bro.
And you're the OG, man.
Badge of honor.
It's great to have you back.
We can never take that away.
As much as you try.
Are you going to say who it is, Matt? Or?
Oh, sure, yeah. He's the host of the BLEAV in Wizards podcast, and also a Bullets Forever contributor and the honorary third bro. When are you going to change your last name is the real question.
I still can't spell your guys' last names. So I'm always putting Z's in wrong places.
Yeah.
The big thing is 1 Z, 2 N's. Mm-hmm. That's usually the thing now. It's badass. It's got 2 Z's in it. You wouldn't remember that.
Can't beat it.
But anyway, what's going on, Matt? How are you doing?
I'm sad, man. I don't know. I can't watch any more Wizards. As the spoiler for anybody wondering when this is being recorded, we're doing it during a game, and I'm very okay with missing one.
Hey, I got my YouTube TV recording it right now. Unlimited recordings. As long as my mother-in-law doesn't delete it like she did a couple games. I know she did it on purpose.
Well, I don't think we're missing anything on the Jazz game. Maybe they'll prove me wrong, but I'm going to venture to say they're going to get stomped. So
I don't know. They beat some good teams, and they lose to bad teams.
I think Gobert might have, 30 and 30 in this game.
Lopez will have something to say about that, Noel.
Oh, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Or Alex Len, the rim protector.
Maheen Me 2.0.
Hey, don't make fun of Mahimi in Modderno's presence here. He's a big fan of his now. You know, you had him on the show, right?
I actually missed him. We never got him on. He ghosted.
He ghosted you.
Ghosted. Take that.
Oh,
he
shit.
picked up his $16 million a year and just rolled out.
His bag of money with a dollar sign on it.
Just scumbag to the end, huh? Stealing, and more stealing.
Yeah, that's the biggest sin he committed here.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever had anybody ghost us, ever.
That's pretty good.
Batting 1,000 over here.
Not bad.
Or we are. Noel does all the recruiting. So.
Yeah. Hey, yeah, I'm definitely batting 1,000.
Yeah, great job. But anyway, so as the first guest, it only makes sense to come back around. You're the 100. Yeah, we're full circle here. So thanks for coming on again. I think this is 6th, 7th time now. I've lost count.
We got to be close to double digits at this point.
We're working on it. We're working on it. But and congrats on your 1-year anniversary with Larry.
Thanks, man.
On your podcast.
He's somehow not publicly sick of me enough yet to quit. So I think that's a win.
Yeah, don't do more than 1 episode a week.
Yeah, that's the key.
That's a secret sauce there.
I can imagine. I still don't know how you guys did 3.
I don't either.
Blows my mind.
And it's amazing that Noel and I haven't killed each other yet. I don't know how he's still alive.
It's virtual. That's why. It's virtual.
Yeah, that's true.
I've busted a few computers by now, but that's about it.
Well, let's get on to the Wizards. Nobody cares about us. Or the Wizards, probably. But let's talk about them anyway. What the fuck's wrong with this team? How do you go 5-0 and then lose 5 straight? Probably working on 6 right now.
I took a little heat during the win streak for saying that, every team they're beating is missing a pretty key piece, and they seem to be catching people at the right time. And that's looking a little less crazy now that they're struggling out of the break here. Like the first game or two, like Larry tried to explain, like it's really hard to like just sort of like snap back into game form to pick that momentum back up. And that was like, okay, game and a half, like we could see that. That excuse doesn't apply anymore, I don't think.
Yeah, they had 3 days off or whatever. It wasn't like a real All-Star break, right? It were 4 days maybe.
Yeah, it was not enough to make up, especially for Beal, who probably most needed the rest.
Well, he looked a little dead on his feet the first game, and probably about half of the second game.
He sat out the second game, didn't he?
Yeah, he sat out the second game, but on the first game, he looked dead on his feet. That's completely understandable. I think he put everything into that All-Star game that he possibly could. He's like, I'm going out there, I'm a starter. God knows if I'm going to be one again, to hell with it.
We're never going to forget me come All-Star ballot.
Right. LeBron, I'm showcasing for you,
Sit
man,
your
or
ass down,
the
King
Warriors
James.
or something.
Yeah, it'd still get drafted, the last possible draft pick. It's a story of his life, poor guy.
Can we just put it to rest that this team just is not a good basketball team? And that's just the bottom line of it. They don't have the personnel. They are at the point now where I am saying, and I said this before the season started, that no, we need to go with this experiment. They need to unload. They need to get what they can for Beal. And Westbrook, if they're stuck with him, they're stuck with him. Hopefully not. But I feel that at this point in time, the personnel that they have is going nowhere fast. And the guys that potentially could contribute at some point in time, Denny, Rui, etc., their growth is being stunted based on these 2 guards. It's just the fact.
And I don't disagree, but I personally think that it's Scott Brooks and only Scott Brooks. This is not a bad roster.
We got to stop with that.
It's
true. We got to stop with that.
It's true.
We got to stop with it.
Can all things be right here? I mean, I really do think it's the perfect storm of just crap. They're not well coached. They're not well general managed. The biggest contracts they have, other than Beal, don't produce at a level that you need them to produce to get like value for what you're paying them. Like pound for pound, Raul Neto is the best contract on the Wizards. Like the guy makes $2 million a year and is out there dropping 10 points while he's got broken ribs. And meanwhile, our point guard is throwing the ball into the 5th row as he's missing dunks. And he did a great job of getting him back in it. Like I'm not one of those people that like, I'm going to point to the 2 or 3 bad plays and pin the whole thing on him. But he made losing plays down the stretch. He made winning plays down the stretch. But when you make $45 million a year, they need you to be better. It's like, it's that simple.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree with you there. If you have flashes, every player does. It's a 72-game season this year. It's usually 82. Every player does. Hell, I was telling Matthew before, Jordan had a 50-point game with the Wizards. You have those moments. Westbrook is too busy trying to figure out his own game right now and get himself back to where he thinks he should be, and he's not helping the club around him. Yes, he's putting up the numbers. He's too busy worried about his fucking free throws. than worrying about getting these young guys involved. He can be rah-rah all he wants on practice and in the locker room and everything else, but on the floor, this team is not getting better, and he is a catalyst for that.
And credit to him, he blamed himself for pretty much everything.
Well, good.
Well, he did. There's a lot of stars that aren't going to do that.
He takes the brunt pretty much every press conference and honestly is objective about stuff. Like, here are the things I did wrong. And I'm always like, yep, no, you did that wrong. Yeah, you did that wrong too. Like, so I give him some tiny shred of credit for that. Every one of us has played some level of not really good basketball, right? It's
especially Noel.
Please dominate you. Dominate you. All you have is a J. That's it. Stone
You
feet.
should see his release. It's beautiful.
You should see every other part of my game, though, friend. Urinate on you.
That being said, when you play pickup with guys that suck, you don't want to give them the ball. I kind of don't blame him when he's on the floor with certain guys. Like, I wouldn't trust them to do shit either.
He passes the ball. Lopez should not be their third option. When he's on the floor, all Westbrook does is pass to the middle.
The hideous, ugly jump hooks.
You mean in between the moonwalk travels that he does?
Well, he doesn't get called.
The guy's hideous, man.
It's a hard watch.
It's like a damn caveman out there. I mean, Matt, I totally agree with you. If I'm Westbrook, he's had his problems as well, of course, but you've got these guys in the team that how can you trust them? And he's starting to now look at Bertans a little bit, but how can you trust a guy that's going to shoot like a 40-footer, every time he touches the ball? And it's such a shame because, during the offseason, we were just begging for Bertans back, and this is turning into a fucking disaster. We're going to be stuck with him for a long time if he doesn't pick his shit up. Do you ever see it happening? Do you ever see Bertans? I know I'm talking about the entire team as a whole, but is Bertans ever going to get this shit together? And what's the problem?
He'd be a fringe all-star if he signed anywhere else. But I just assume that whatever the Wizards do long-term, they're shooting themselves in the foot. I didn't like the length of the deal. And everyone's counter was, yeah, but he's a tall shooter. That contract will age so well. You'll always be able to trade him by year 4. And it's like, well, what if last season was the fluke? Right. He was good, but in super low usage in San Antonio. And now he's back to not good. So it's like he's been bad. He's been not great more years than he's been great. So, what's the real Bertans?
And I agree with you. He has not shot the ball well. I think at the beginning of the season, we all know that coming from Latvia, he was out of shape, so on and so forth, didn't have his legs. He's gotten them. I think one thing I was criticizing him for was he was staying stationary at three-point range. I think he's starting to do a little bit of the little things. He's starting to grab some boards. He's starting to go inside because he realizes his opportunities are few and far between, just like they were with Denny and just like they were with Rui up until about 2 games ago. These guys don't touch the ball. They don't shoot the ball. There's not volume there. Now, Bertans will get his volume opportunities, but a lot of those are chuck and duck shots because he knows, God knows, I might not touch the ball for another 8 minutes.
Yeah, but those were working last year. He was doing that last year too.
That's true.
But he was making them.
They were cutting through screens. You could see they were running plays for Bertans. Bertans is a stationary shooter now that goes to the three-point line and stands there. Denny, and like I said when they got him, and I hope they didn't do that with him, he has become Otto Porter season 2. And he is standing at three-point range. This guy can do everything. I don't care what anybody says. He's sometimes
with his left hand.
Except dribble with his left hand, right?
And hit threes. Don't forget about that.
He fouls a little too much. Every rookie does. But when he has the ball in his hands and he's allowed to be free, kind of a little bit of a Euro style, you can see that ability. And he doesn't have that opportunity with this team. He doesn't. Beal and Westbrook are ball hungry. They are. They have to have the ball in their hands. Shit. Rui, I forgot he was in games up until 2 games ago. I forgot he was there. He's supposed to be their 3rd best player on this basketball team. He doesn't touch the ball.
He showed that when Beal was out. He was dominant in that game.
Because they had no choice.
I know.
They had to give the ball to somebody else.
That's what I'm saying. Hopefully that opened up the best coach in the league's eyes that he can actually do a little bit more. But who the hell knows? What about... All right, this is a mystery to me, and maybe I haven't watched enough press conferences or something, but what the hell is going on with Wagner? How do you use him? And there were situations that Noel and I have said, look, if he starts, that's great. But then if you have a more conventional big, he probably isn't going to work out there. But do it on a game-by-game basis. You need that hustle guy out there. And he was bringing that. Even if he was only starting but playing 10 minutes, he seemed to make a difference. Kind of like Garrison Matthews, who's seems to be falling off himself a little bit. But regardless, how did he get back in Brooks' doghouse yet again? What the hell is going on?
Scott Brooks, being a former garbage time player himself, has some belief, I think, that getting guys in there for 2 or 3 minutes here or there, if they're not heavily in the rotation, is like somehow a slap in the face for them.
Really?
And I don't really understand that, because if it were me, I would rather play a few minutes at the end of games or middle games or whenever you could use me for a couple than not play for like weeks at a time. He's never seemed to like Mo's game. That's sort of always been the dude on the outside looking in. Beal sort of advocated for both Matthews and Wagner. They played and then they went on that run. So I think he was like, well, shit, I can't go away from it. As soon as they lost 2 games in a row,
he's gone.
Yeah, sorry. Enjoy the doghouse for the rest of the year. And by the way, now he's suddenly being made available for trades. So
that's what I was going to ask you, was that a lot of times you see these guys when they just sit on the bench for weeks, they're on the trading block. I don't know what type of value he's going to get with another squad. Everybody probably considers him right now about a backup center. So I'm not really sure. You think that's the case? Is that they're trying to trade him or put him in a package?
I don't think it's that necessarily. I think he just looked for an opportunity, looked for a justifiable excuse to throw him back on the bench.
He had sex with his daughter. That's what happened.
That's the only realistic explanation at this point. I'll always remember one press conference last year. It was against Memphis, and Wagner had 19-9 in a very close loss. And Brooks spent the first 5 minutes of the press conference just trashing on, like, a reporter was like, was that Mo's best game of his career? And Brooks was like, wow, it was a terrible game. He missed, this rotation one time, and then another time he shot it when Brad was more open than him. And it's like, what else you got, bro? Like, he's
yeah.
On the flip side of that, if Westbrook goes 10-10-10, it's like, oh, look at his numbers. I mean, what else can you say? It speaks for itself.
He willed that victory.
Yeah, right. Get the fuck out.
This guy is willing to sabotage a game to not put Wagner in. You're willing to put Lopez in games against like Julius Randle, who's bombing shots all over the place, dominating on the inside, urinating on this guy. Mm-hmm. You'll put Lynn in, who is honestly better than Lopez in my opinion. At least he brings another dynamic. But when you have these athletic bigs that are just doing whatever they want, off the dribble, out-rebounding them.
Yeah, at least he's going to throw an elbow. I don't get it either.
On a strategy standpoint, Matt, just on that alone, just to mix it up, to say, okay, Lopez versus Vujovic. Vujovic already has 15 boards going into the fourth quarter. Lopez has 2. We might want to try something different here. Mm-hmm. I just don't understand.
There's a situation.
You're saying it is Scott Brooks' fault then?
I'm saying he is a portion of the pie. Absolutely. He should have been canned a long time ago.
I don't think it's a bad roster. I just think he's the worst.
No, I think that he puts guys in bad spots, like Matt said, and they're not game planning correctly. Absolutely. But these guys are fighting in games. So there's something, I agree, there's something there, but there has to be some kind of motivation on the court not to get down by 18 points and have to fight back. That's not all Brooks, is my point.
Brooks is great for what he did in OKC, where it was just like, hey, just be in there and don't let people, hate each other, and don't let anybody ruffle anybody's feathers. But he's not a Nick Nurse or somebody that's going to go out and actively elevate you or come up with these creative ways of doing things. Like, I don't understand what they do offensively personally. They've got defensive guru Mike Longobardi, and it's like, okay, well, defense isn't good. So part of that's the staff too. And just the rotation didn't come around to Bonga tonight in the best game of his career kind of stuff.
Right.
Like, it's just indefensible. It's just, he's probably a decent coach in the right situation. He's a nice guy. But this just, the time's up here. I mean, it's just that simple. I don't ever want anyone to get fired, but at a certain point you wear out your welcome and guys tune you out. I think we're at that point.
Well, lucky for him, he's going to get his whole $7 million one way or the other. So
he'll be back for 2 more years. Just be ready for that.
I'm ready.
What do you think the Wizards should do at this point beyond the Brooks firing? Do you think that they should make a trade? Do you think they should swing for the fences? Do you think that they should just mail it in? We're at a crossroads right now.
Drummond. That's the answer.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, I mean...
Add more centers. That's the answer.
As bad as the defense and the rebounding has been, I think Drummond is a grossly overrated player. I'd love him if he made $8 million a year. At 28, it's insane. If you could get him on a buyout, I mean, he's an obvious upgrade. He would be their best center. I don't like him as a player. I don't know that it leads to winning, but it'd be hard to say he's not markedly better than Robin Lopez. It's just based on what we have. I think he would help if he wanted to come here, on a veteran's minimum for the rest of the year or whatever.
Well, if you're doing that, you're basically saying, okay, we're going to make one final push.
Sure.
Because if
there's no scenario where they blow this up or they even soft tank if they can help it. They will be buyers at the deadline, and they will do everything in their power to finish 9th in the Eastern Conference. And they're not going to make the playoffs because they're not going to be clutch enough to make one of the play-in games there and win those 2 in a row. And they're going to end up, 12th in the lottery or some shit. And this is a draft where you very much don't want to end up 12th. But that's where they'll end up because that's what happens here.
Yeah, I just think that it's just a time to like I said, cash it in. Don't give the Drummond experiment. Don't do any of that. Get rid of some of the fat. Gain some fat by trading Beal, and get some picks.
I mean, you're going to get a haul for Beal.
You're going to get a nice bundle for him, and I think that's the way to go. And it like you said before, Matt. Eventually, Beal is going to say, "Screw this," and the damage is done. The Westbrook thing, the damage is done. I don't see this team improving. Bringing in making a big 3, not saying Drummond is that, or making a trade or getting rid of Bertans and the other dead weight, or throwing in Rui, for example, to try to bring in some third guy, like if they could have gone for PJ Tucker or somebody like that, is not going to solve your problems. It's just not.
They're going to try to trade crap for crap and get rid of the guys that have fallen out of the rotation for somebody else's guy that maybe fell out of the rotation that they hope they could maybe use better because they're so creative. And they're going to hope they can get a buyout, and they're going to make a push. We can talk as much as we want about what the smart thing to do would be, and just know that they're not going to do that. Brad will be here. He will get a supermax. And then after a year of that shit, he's going to decide, okay, maybe I would be better off in Dallas or wherever it is. And then it's okay, well, what's his value now that he makes $45 million a year? Are you going to net more things in return or less when he makes an additional 15 a season or whatever that is?
Do you think he's going to re-sign for Supermax?
That's 100% guaranteed. Yeah, he'll do that here.
You're stamping it.
Yeah, that's a lock, my friends. Not fake news.
What do you think about that? What do you think about that?
I mean,
do you want him back for that type of money?
To your point, if you were ever going to blow it up, this is the year to do it. The top 5 in this draft is loaded. You could actually get somebody as good at 14th in this draft. They may end up being the best player in this draft out of a loaded draft. It's just after 5, they're all kind of crapshoot guys.
Yeah.
So if I were ever going to be this is the year to be really bad, this is the one to do it. And I'm usually not pro tank, but the guys available to him this year, I would consider that for, but I don't know. I personally, I get worn out on here's what they should do. Let's appeal to common sense, any of those things. Let's not trade first round picks for expiring contracts and all this dumb shit that we've done for a decade and a half. But that's what they're going to do. It's inevitable.
Wow. This 100th episode got really depressing.
It got dark. I'm sorry, guys.
I thought this was a celebration,
Yeah.
I know.
Well, I mean, we will have a bottle of champagne when Brooks gets fired. I promise you, on me.
I like it.
But yeah, I think obviously that's the first order of business. And then you kind of go from there. But it's a shame because I really went into this This season has been such a sour taste in my mouth from day one, and you guys know this. I mean, ever since the Wall trade, I have just not been fully invested.
He got his knee scope, by the way. Not sure if you know that or not. Just
I don't know what that has to do with the price of tea in China, but
well, I'm just saying he's hurt.
The Wizards won the trade. I mean, that's what Matt's saying, and I actually agree with him somehow.
Yeah. I mean, this Westbrook experiment is what it is, and we have to deal with it now. I've tried to get myself in it, and I've tried to root for the guy, and he's some games he's just really hard to root for. It's been a depressing season. It really has. Last year was a shit year, but the team was fun.
And there was some hope for the future still.
And there was some hope for the future there. And this, I feel, either A, the trade or the players that Brooks is playing is just stunting the growth of that joy. I mean, you see Wagner still on the bench like a college kid dancing around. This poor schmuck is out there on the bench, and he just doesn't get the time of day. He just doesn't, and it's sad. And these guys on a shitty team, if this were the Lakers and he's dancing around like an idiot on the bench, I'd be all right with it. But on the Wizards? Really? Really?
Maybe he hustles too much, and he's and Beal said, you know, you're making me look bad. I vouched for you, buddy. And now
I tell you what, man, Beal makes passive aggressive comments sometimes though about like, you know, we got to find guys out there that are, you know, are willing to hustle and bring energy. And hey, by the way, didn't everyone think Mo and Garrison looked really good tonight? Anyway, it's like, so if your best player is like doing that and his wife's tweeting about time we played Matthews and Wagner, like, I mean,
apparently she's the GM now.
She'd probably do a better job.
Yeah.
I was always saying she's going to be the reason why Beal leaves. You always got that crazy woman that says, man, we need to go to Vegas. You know, something like that. We need to go out to L.A. I need to get my reality show on. But in this case, the way they're playing and with the personnel, I wouldn't blame him one bit if he wanted out of Dodge.
There's something from a money perspective for being a franchise player for your whole career, for making a bunch of all-star teams, for breaking some scoring records. Like in terms of long-term legacy, you know, being one of the 3 best Wizards of all time is maybe a better deal for you than that. And then at the end of your career, you go chase a ring when you're 34 and nobody blames you. Like, is his career any different?
No, I agree with you there. And at the end of the day, if you went to a team that had a big 3 on it, he's going to go back to being Beal's spot-up shooter. That's the bottom line. I mean, you could even see it in the All-Star game when everybody runs in guns. He'd end up being Bertans with a better shot.
And now he can't make threes anymore. So
No.
Right. But yeah, you're right, man. Thanks, guys. Thanks a lot.
How good was that Rui game against the Bucks, though?
That's so good. So good.
So good. Man, so good. He's on his way to Kawhi Leonard status.
There you go.
On his way.
I was watching that game with my wife. She's like, Rui looks like an Asian Giannis. I was like, you know,
I could see
it does actually.
I could see that.
I mean, he went at him though. Like that was awesome.
Did.
I mean, that should be like Bryant had a moment early in the season where you could see like Beal was like, oh shit, okay, like this guy's real. Like I can trust him with the ball. And I hope that that's the moment they had with Rui watching him over the last week. And if you have that, and maybe Bertans finally gets his shit together a little bit, you know, that rises, you know, the rising tide lifts all ships kind of thing. Maybe that helps other guys if they can kind of, you know, Matthews can recede back to a bench role. And maybe you do add one veteran wing and you can get a buyout center or something. I mean, they could still very easily make the playoffs, which is nuts. And I don't know.
Horrifying.
There's some value in that, I think.
There is.
I'd be excited to watch a playoff game.
Oh, of course.
One.
Well, hey, if they make the 8th seed, you know, you get a series.
Yeah.
You get a series, man.
I'd take a 4-0 sweep.
Yeah.
Hey, before we go, have you done a bracket?
I have done a bracket.
Who you got?
I went Homer completely and picked the other Washington team and picked Gonzaga all the way. How about you guys?
No, me too. I got Gonzaga, Illinois in the final. So that's what I got.
Oh, there you go.
I think that's a reasonable take.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's not crazy or anything. Yeah, exactly.
Really thinking outside the box there, Noel.
Sorry, I mean, what the hell? They've had some teams have played 10 games. I mean, what the hell can you do?
They have 5 first-round picks on that team. Like it's not a bad play.
Yeah, let's get them in the lottery. All of them.
Yeah, I take it.
All right, Matt. Well, thanks for coming on, my friend. Appreciate that.
Congrats, guys.
Oh, thank you. Congrats to you. Congrats
you too,
to you.
Man.
You can follow Matt on Twitter at Matt Modderno. And the other one's what? At BLEAV in Wizards?
Yep.
Right? There you go. I didn't even know this until like a week ago. You're the moderator of that Wizards Facebook group?
Yeah, that's so
How did that happen?
I got asked to do it. I don't even know, to be honest. And I regret it every day because it's literally just, it's half the people are like, hey, John Wall, he's still the best point guard in the NBA. And the other
all you
half,
do is yell at people all day. I see it.
It's infuriating, man. I'm just like, hey, just don't say racist shit to each other. Like, that's all I'm asking. Like, just,
it's very simple.
It's not hard. Have all the basketball takes you want.
No wonder you're such a good moderator. You come on here and you're like, hey, easy, guys.
Keep the peace.
It's in your blood, man.
Yeah, he's in his... Which Wizards group is it?
Wizards Nation.
Wizards
don't
Nation.
go on there. It's terrible.
Don't do that. He doesn't need any more headaches. All right, Matt. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. And I'm sure we will see you soon at some point, right?
Go Wizards.
Go
Wizards. Yay.
All right, man. Take it easy.
Microsoft Teams is helping a bicycle company reinvent the way that they work.
We make bicycles for everyday riders. Once the pandemic hit, we started doing virtual visits. All of a sudden, we could open up our showroom to customers around the world.
Learn more at Microsoft.com/Teams.
See you, boys.
Empire.
Thanks again to Bram and Matt for coming on. It was fun as always.
Yeah, man. That was awesome.
I know. Great guys, those two.
They are. They are.
You know.
Give you the shirt off their back.
Yeah. But I can't say the same, but
nope.
Well, this 100th episode, I don't think it'd be complete, Noel, without the trademark of all trademarks for the Beltway Sports Bros, you know?
Yeah, I think it's copywritten at this point.
Has to be.
It has to be.
I actually saw somebody, I think it's on NFL Network, they do a Top 5 Friday.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know if it was pre-us. I never noticed it.
Well, hey, good for them. If we can be copied by NFL Network, then we're doing pretty damn good.
Doing something right? Yeah, so I'm sure you've gathered we're going to be doing another Top 5 Friday.
Yep.
So this Beltway Sports Bros podcast has lasted far longer than I could have ever anticipated, probably ever wanted it to be, lasting that long. But, you know, and it's anything in life. As it goes, shit gets old and tired. So on today's installment of this Top 5 Friday, we're going to go away from sports again, which we've done a couple times as of late. And we're going to go over our list of top 5 TV shows that wore out their welcome.
Hopefully we're not on this list.
Well, that's for the listeners to decide, I guess. So basically what that means is, if you haven't figured it out, it's shows that used to be great or relatively good, you know, you liked them, but got played out and became unwatchable or, you know, kind of, in our case, unlistenable, right?
Yeah,
you know,
they just run out of steam. They don't have any creativity anymore. They're just putting shit out for the dollars. You know, we're going to run down a list, and everybody knows shows like that they're awesome at the beginning. You're like, wow. And then eventually you're like, why the hell am I still watching this? Or you just eventually just stop because it's shit.
Don't stop listening to this show, though, please. Don't get any ideas.
We're like a fine wine, guys. You need that buildup.
Yeah.
We're like, let it sit for a little bit. Let it ferment.
All right, well, let's get on with it. This has already been a very long episode. I think we should try to breeze through this if that's all right with you, Noel.
Hey, however long it takes. It's for the fans, Matt.
It's for the fans. All right, well, let's start with number 5, as we tend to do. Go for it.
Well, my number 5, and my wife Lindsay and son Ryan are going to be very disappointed in me for putting this one on there, but I'm going with Psych. It was a show. It was a show on USA. Lasted 8 seasons. Great freaking show. It was just dumb. You know, for anybody that hasn't seen it, it's a guy that has a photographic memory, and he bullshits his way that he's a psychic, and he has his sidekick Gus, and their antics ensue with solving
Lots
murders.
of one-liners.
Yeah. It's a great freaking show. I mean, Dorn from Major League is his dad, so it's just a great show. But I venture to say, after a few seasons, probably closer to about season 6-ish. Starts to get a little tired. It's the same show over and over again. Okay, we go to a murder scene. I look around. I figure out the case. And at the end, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, solved.
Every time.
And it's always so funny. The criminal is always just lets it all out at the scene.
Every time. Like the last 30 seconds of the show.
Yeah.
It's like Scooby-Doo or something.
Right.
You know?
You damn kids and that stupid dog or whatever.
Oh, yeah. You used to love that show. I remember this is a time when shows that were on cable sucked.
Right.
Right? Like now, these cable stations pump a lot of money into these shows. And pretty much everything but what was on HBO and network TV was unwatchable. With Psych, we were watching that show. It was like, what the fuck is this show? All right, let's check it out. I remember we watched it the first time together, and it had that stupid intro song.
I know. You know. It ain't stupid. It's catchy. Hey, you can be in the shower singing that, man. After an episode, you're like, damn, oh yeah.
No, but do you remember what we thought, though? It was like, what the fuck is this shit?
Yeah, I know. Stupid song entry. And then after, you want to talk about a song that stays with
Talk
you.
about fine wine.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, absolutely. No, that definitely is. But great characters in the show. It just relationship with his girl, and they tried to make it real at the end, and it was just like, all right.
Yeah, it started getting kind of serious.
Yeah,
you know,
give me a break. You can't look at Sean and be like, oh my god. This is a psych to remember.
Right.
Right. So that was my number 5. But Lindsay and Ryan, again, will not be happy. They binge watched it about 6 months ago, the entire thing. And I made it about halfway through the binge. I had seen them, and it was the same thing. I'm like, look, there's only but so many times I can see this back and forth and these crime solving of the exact same thing.
It's one thing to watch it week to week, but when you binge watch, it's like, holy shit. These shows are literally exactly the same. It's the same formula every single time. But, but it was great. It was great.
Great show.
Short-lived, but it was, on for probably way too long. But
yeah.
Speaking of which, show that was, in my opinion, not on way too long, but they made a terrible decision at the end because I guess the stars of the show couldn't come to a contract agreement, wanted to stop it, whatever. But my number 5 is Scrubs, one of the greatest sitcoms ever. It is.
That's a serious statement, considering I've seen 1.5 episodes.
Well, you're an idiot. I've explained this to you. But I will say this, it does have the same formula as well. Literally, every commercial break, it's going to be super funny at the beginning, something serious is going to happen in the middle, it gets funny again, and then it gets serious, to tie it all together at the end. It's the same formula every single time. But it was a great show all the way up till the very end, except when they decided on season 8 to add another season when it ended amazingly well.
So what, they just felt like they needed to pinch out a little more money with one more season?
Yeah. So what happened was they had Scrubs Med, but it was still considered Scrubs. It wasn't a spinoff because JD, the main character, and
clue who that is. Is that Big Nose guy?
It's Big Nose guy.
Yeah,
yes.
Okay, just so everybody knows how much I know about Scrubs. I know Big Nose guy. He's the main character. I know the black dude from Clueless.
Turk.
Okay. And then I know Fake Becky from Roseanne.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. That's all I know. Oh, and I know asshole that always plays an asshole role.
Dr. Cox.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Always a dick. The guy in Office Space. That's the only role that this guy plays. He's always the asshole, always the prick. I like him.
This just popped in my head. You're kind of like the Dr. Cox of this show. But
that's why I like him so much.
But all of his little speeches and everything, they kind of got played out. So, maybe it's time to look in the mirror there, buddy. But great show. The Scrubs Med thing, they had some of the main characters make cameos in it to legitimize it or something, but it was just awful, and it really put a bad taste in your mouth when Scrubs finally ended, and it was officially canceled after that.
I'm sorry to hear it. Did those guys do anything at this point? Have any of them got a single job after Scrubs was over?
Yeah, JD, what the hell's his real name? Whatever. He's directed movies, and
he looks like he's done well. You don't even remember the guy's name. Becky wasn't even able to go back to Roseanne or whatever the hell they call that show now.
The Connors. Roseanne, God be with you.
There. Yeah.
Hey, speaking of which, that could have probably been on this list. I didn't even think about that. Jesus, you want to talk about a show that dropped?
Oh God.
But yeah, that's my number 5. What's your number 4, Noel?
My number 4 is an oldie but goodie, and it's got one of the greatest characters of all time, okay? Married with Children.
Yeah.
Woo! No, ma'am? Oh, my God. That show would never survive today.
Never.
Just an asshole.
It wouldn't be allowed on TV.
Just staring at women's asses all the time, talking about women.
Fat women.
Good-looking women. Kelly Bundy, like, just totally sexualized in the show.
She was a slut.
Just the show had.
They made it very clear.
Yeah, it just had everything that was stereotypical about what men wanted in a show, right? Yeah. But as any great show, they have to fuck with it. And what ended up happening with it is around season 7, they decided to add that trademark sitcom destruction. You add a kid.
Yep.
So dumb. The kid's name was Seven. I don't know.
Yeah, because he was the 7th of. There was a reason behind that. I think wasn't he related to Peggy somehow? Like, but he. Yeah. Anyway, it was so dumb.
It doesn't matter. It was the dumbest move ever. It was so dumb.
Do you remember that Peggy wasn't on an entire season? I think because she had a miscarriage.
Yeah.
Do you remember that she was pregnant and then she had a miscarriage, and they tried to make it out to be like it was 7, and I think that's why 7 was brought in.
Right. Well, the ratings plummeted. And they dumped the kid after 12 episodes. They didn't even explain why the kid was gone. Just dropped him off in front of an orphanage. I don't know. But the show was freaking great up until that. And that was about season 7. And that's when it dropped off. But I'm telling you, man, if anybody watches that show, don't watch even the first season. Don't watch the second season.
First season's so bad.
Season 3 through season 6, when Jefferson Darcy comes into the picture, and then they start getting really chauvinistic asshole. I mean, where it's just all about TNA. Those are the great seasons, man.
Marcy Darcy?
Oh, man.
What was the chicken thing? I never really understood
She walked like a chicken, apparently. And then Jefferson would be behind her like, laughing. So fucking dumb. And the women's shoe store at the time. Everything. Season 3 through season 6 was just chauvinism on steroids. Everything. It was great.
God, this show's so great.
So awesome. But it's a shame after that, and then Kelly, I think, went out with an illness and she was in and out of the show. So it just took a downturn after season 7. And it just became really gimmicky. The No Man stuff was still really good. Oh, man. So good. Like, just an entire group dedicated to...
What was the
acronym? I don't remember.
The acronyms. Mothers Against Macedonian Motherhood.
Yeah.
Like it was some shit like that.
Just against all beastly women. Yeah, that's basically what it was.
I think it was
Macedonians or so. Oh, it's so awesome. Never would survive today, but so great.
Underrated part of why I think that show tanked, and it seemed to coincide with when it started going bad, is when Buck died, and then they brought in that weird white dog. Do you remember that?
Buck.
Yeah.
Buck. Oh, good old Buck. God, what a flea bag. But
Cheech Marin's voice.
Yeah.
All right. It's a good one, Noel. It's a good one.
Thanks.
Sad I didn't think about that one. All right. My number 4 is Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Oh, good one, Matt. Very excellent, like top tier show that just gradually just flying by the seat of his pants at some points at the end.
Well, they literally are flying by the seat of their pants because is
a really good one, though. I didn't even think of that one.
They have no script. So if you don't know about the show, it's Larry David, who was the creator of Seinfeld, along with Jerry Seinfeld. It's on HBO. It was basically kind of just like a hardcore version of Seinfeld.
An HBO Seinfeld.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Great cast. And, it just... It was weird because... It wasn't. They've had 10 seasons, but they've done this over a 20-year period. So you can tell that they're when they take these breaks, something's just not quite right.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And they're like coming cold off the bench. It's like when we take a week off. It's like shit. We got to do this. Imagine doing that for like 3 years and having to.
Well, it's like an author that comes out with a great book and needs to come out with a sequel, and then has writer's block.
Yeah.
And it's like, shit, how do I reach this precipice again? And it just, after freaking, I'd say honestly, it's been around for 10 seasons. I'd say after about season 4, the show was just, it started to come up with like subplots of, I want to be a producer of a show. Excuse me, I'm sorry, let me say that again, Matt. Mm-hmm. I mean, I would venture to say that after season 7, it's been around for 10 seasons. After season 7, when they did the Seinfeld reunion shit, that's when the show died off. Which was great. Yeah. They should have ended it there, and it should have been done. They started doing these subplots where he was being threatened by Muslims and creating a coffee shop.
It was just so great. It was basic. Basically, Larry would go and do
whatever the fuck he wanted.
XYZ location.
Yeah.
He would do something that was misunderstood, and then they'd scream at each other.
Right.
And then it was, like Seinfeld, it would all tie in at the end.
Right.
With all the shit happening. And that's what was great about it. And, they still have that to an extent. I mean, Larry's always screaming and all that.
I still look at old clips of I'm telling you, man, people, and I said that about Married with Children, people got to go to season 2 through 4. You got the Survivor episode, classic. If anybody doesn't know the Survivor episode, right, check it out. It is hilarious. So just to give you a premise of what happens, Larry goes to his rabbi, and they're talking, and he says, look, my dad was a survivor, a survivor of the Holocaust.
That's
the survivor of the Holocaust. So the rabbi says, oh, yeah, I've got a survivor too. So you go, why don't we get them together? Why don't we get them together? So they end up going to Larry's house, and the dad's there. He's like, where's the survivor? Where's the survivor? And the guy walks in, and it's like the winner of the Survivor show.
Yeah, the first winner, right? Like the guy with the beard or whatever?
I don't know. Some idiot that comes in, man, they didn't even let us have like a toothbrush and stuff on the island, man. Like right. They didn't even give us suntan lotion. Suntan lotion, you'd be lucky to walk where I was. Shit like that. It was so man, it's fabulous. Fabulous stuff.
I mean, it's just constant misunderstandings, and and that's a perfect example, the Survivor thing. It's like they just, they mean to say one thing and it turns into this whole mess because somebody misunderstands what they're trying to say.
Toilet paper. What the hell?
Toilet paper. I would say though, the real drop off came when Larry and Cheryl. When they got divorced.
Oh, I was fine with it.
Cheryl sucks.
I never liked her.
She's awful. But she wasn't good. But there was something that just wasn't right. Now, when his house guest came in, what was his name? Whatever the hell his name was, I forgot. But they had some hilarious stuff going back and forth.
Yeah.
But it was kind of cliche, like
it was
the buddy comedy type shit.
Yeah, buddy comedy shit. It was like the Odd Couple shit.
Mm-hmm.
But great show. It just died off. Sometimes you just can't keep that momentum going. You can't run the same speed as you did when you were 20 when you're 40.
That's for sure. But they're coming out with an 11th season, so
good for
buckle
them.
up for that, Noel.
Yeah.
You'll be watching. All right. What's your number 3, Noel?
Okay, so my number 3, this is a reality show. So, which
I don't know if that's allowed on this one.
It is. It definitely is. When it's gone 19 seasons, it's freaking allowed.
It's more scripted than Curb Your Enthusiasm, so
yeah, that's true. Hell's Kitchen. Oh my gosh. I mean, when this show came out, and I love Ramsay. What an ass.
He's the best.
I guess I got kind of a theme going here of just assholes. But
that's pretty typical.
I love them. From the heart.
They speak to you.
When this show started out, this guy was just balls to the wall. Again, another show that he can't do the same thing that he did at the beginning. He was a lot more harsh at the beginning than he could be now. Mm-hmm. I mean, for example, he would say, call people donkeys. He kind of still does that one. But get this line, Matt. And I had to do a little research.
Oh, yeah?
Okay.
It's probably to some, overweight woman, I'm assuming.
I mean, first off, you use the C word on the show. That would be out. But this one is, the chicken is as dry as a camel's asshole. I mean, it's beast. Now, the reason why I'm bringing up this one, and basically the show is as repetitive as it gets.
There's nothing more repetitive than that show.
You go in, they cook the same shit. They cook the fucking Wellingtons and the scallops, the same. You can't cook a scallop.
The same menu.
Same shit.
It's amazing. Now we're going to do a meal for
a bachelorette party or
the army or some shit. Like it's some variation of.
So tired. And the only thing that was good about the show was Gordon. That's it.
Oh, yeah.
So the reason why I added this one to my list is because I haven't watched this show since season 5, which was the tail off. I'm like, I'm done. This is the same shit over and over again.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, Natalie, my daughter, decides, she sees it on TV. She's like, I really want to try that show because she likes Ramsay.
Who doesn't?
I said, all right, fine. We'll give it a shot. It's like I didn't miss a fucking beat with the show. They're still making the same shit. They're still cooking the same crack: salmon, chicken, beef Wellington, and scallops. Like, unfreaking believable, man. And
well, that's why I was so excited. Like, finally something new came out. Like when Master Chef came out, it was like a refined version of Hell's Kitchen. Ramsay was nicer, which I didn't love, but at least it was like, Jesus Christ, something not identical to what you're doing on Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah, he's not going to tell an amateur chef that just came off the street, get out! Get it? You know, he's not going to like do that shit to them. But he's nice now. I mean, he goes off, don't get me wrong, but it is a PG version of him. He realized that he can't call a fucking woman a cow anymore. You know,
fucking pig.
You fucking whale! Get the hell out of my kitchen! Like, I was listening to some of the old shit. I'm like, holy cow!
That's awesome.
How did he get away with it?
That was like shock TV back then.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, it was like, holy shit! I've never seen a guy talk to humans like this, and this has to be real. We thought, you know, reality TV was real and everything. I mean, the show's been on for like 100 years now.
Yeah, what an asshole! It was so good. I mean, food into people's faces and stuff. I mean, holy shit! Never. Now it's like, he's like, okay, you suck. Get out of here. That's basically it.
He may just be tired of it. I mean, talk about a bag with a money with a dollar sign on it.
He's making more now than he did those seasons, and he ain't even doing anything. He just shows up for like the dinner services and throws out a couple F-bombs and like, thank you for the money, and walks out.
Pleasure doing business.
That's a shame. That show was awesome. He's really good in some other shows, but Hell's Kitchen is totally played out.
Yeah, that could potentially be number one.
Yeah.
But my number 3 is something that might surprise some people, but there was only 6 seasons of this show. Close to our heart with the mafia thing and all that, you know, because...
all Italians are. Yeah, like First off, like I'd be at a job and I'd be doing this thing if I was in the mob. Please.
We're all in the mob, Noel.
We all are. We all are.
But I'm referring to The Sopranos. So, amazing show at first.
Oh, yeah.
It was widely regarded as probably the greatest show ever made when it first started.
Groundbreaking is what they
It
like
was
to say.
groundbreaking. Yeah, absolutely. You know, because we've all seen those Godfathers and Goodfellas and all that kind of stuff, but...
Have you seen Goodfellas yet?
I haven't. I'm sorry.
Wow. Don't try to get in with the familia.
Sorry. I've seen all the Godfathers. I always forget about it. Anyway, coming back to The Sopranos, but it was like a deep dive into the psyche of what Tony Soprano, why he does the things that he does, and he's still, you know, affected by it, and that's why he's going to the therapist and the whole thing. It was a great show. A lot of guys got killed off, which inevitably hurts a show.
That was a big issue, was they tried to do that shock. It was one of those first shows, beloved characters dying, and because on network TV, they last till the end. There's like 4 hardcore characters that you know ain't going anywhere.
Right.
And in The Sopranos, you come to really love that character and boom, boom, done.
Yeah, right. And that was the thing. I think that's what really, like you said, kind of set it apart.
Yeah.
You know, main characters, you didn't know when they were going to go.
Right.
So you had to keep watching it. And they, like the fat guy who died in the train thing, you know, he loved trains and everything, just gets blown away in his...
The irony.
Yeah, the irony. That was really sad. And, you know, they really built that up. And he was one of the guys that didn't really want to be doing it. And he just was stuck in that life and was trying to find his way out and got blown away before he could figure it out. But as the seasons progressed, and it's felt like it was on way longer than 6 seasons, by the way.
Yeah.
Because I think what they did was, if I remember correctly, they split the seasons. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So you'd have to wait. So it felt like there was a lot more. So it felt like there was like double. But I always remember that horrible episode with Tony and Paulie on that little boat when they were fishing or whatever.
Oh my God. Kill me. Just somebody, you know, just blow the boat
Somebody
up.
die.
Somebody die already.
That was one of those, it's like, all right, we fought through this entire show. Something crazy is going to happen at the end.
Something. A shark is going to take them down. Something at this point. There's going to be an asteroid is going to come down and hit them. Something is going to happen here.
But nothing. And I think that was the problem. You always waited for something cool to happen, and especially in the later like the last 2 seasons, nothing really happened.
There was a little bit in season 5. It was an up and down, but had too many of those, so many filler bullshit episodes.
So many.
But season 6, to me, I thought it totally sucked.
Yes.
I mean, they had those like New Hampshire episodes. Like, what the fuck is going on? What does this have to do with anything? And then the Vito being gay shit.
Right,
You know,
that's
oh
right.
my God. They dragged that shit out. I mean, the Vito being gay shit. I mean,
I totally forgot about that.
That whole storyline that fucking dragged out. Who gives a shit? The only thing that came good of that Vito being gay thing was the best quote, and I had to look this up because I remembered it, but I wanted to get it right, is big construction tycoon Vito, Ton. When he was always walking about greasing the union, who knew that's what he meant? I mean, and that was basically it. They did this whole storyline on him, and it was just the other hardcore Italian men making fun of the guy or joking about it. It was just, and they had to get somewhere in season 6, and they never did.
They never did. It was like we kept waiting. It was like, when's this season going to pick up?
Yeah.
You're ending.
It's done.
Something's got to happen here.
It's done.
And then they have that horrific final episode where it just goes black, and it leaves it up to your imagination. Fuck you. I've put 6 years of my life into this. Give me something.
Right. I mean, they tried to force feed the controversy with Chris and Tony and Julia. I mean, there was a whole thing in season 6 that it just never panned out. Now they're doing this prequel thing. And of course, they're doing a prequel of when, I don't know, Tony's young. They're using his son, the actor's son. He's identical to him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, whatever the hell his name was. I don't know. Tony. I don't know his...
By the way, I know he's died since then, or the real Tony Soprano, but his voice...
He's a fucking geek.
He was. The accent that he had on the show was awesome.
Yeah.
And then he was like, well, you know, he sounded like a thespian or something.
Yeah, he sounded like you see Beckham, and then all of a sudden you hear his voice. You're like, what the fuck is that? That comes out of that?
I lost all respect for him when I heard him.
I know. It's like...
It was tough to get back.
Really? That's what you're representing me? Get the fuck out of here. You're the Vito.
Yeah. All right.
Support for this podcast comes from State Farm, the good neighbors who offer you surprisingly great rates on your home and car insurance. State Farm agents are great at helping you personalize your insurance to match your needs, plus an award-winning app that makes the whole insurance process surprisingly great. So if you're looking for a surprisingly great rate that comes with a lot of other surprisingly great things, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
What's your number 2, Noel?
Sorry.
You're the Vito.
Okay, so my number 2, and you're going to love this one, Matt. And I did have to do a little bit of research on this one because I know you're freaking like a Rain Man when it comes to this. Monday Night Raw.
Oh, my God.
28 goddamn seasons, man. 28. But I guess it's a sport, so are they technically not seasons?
Sports entertainment.
Right. Sports entertainment. Yeah. So, for me, I will say that I did watch it some. And when we were watching Psych, that was the show that we watched beforehand. We'd go play basketball, we'd watch Raw, and then we'd watch Psych afterward. It was a little day that we had.
Hell's Kitchen was on Mondays, too.
And Hell's. Yeah, Hell's.
I think that we would record Raw and watch it delayed so we could watch Hell's Kitchen first.
Yeah. I mean, that was when Hell's Kitchen was, so
That was first season, second season.
So
amazing.
Good. Groundbreaking shit.
Had to watch it.
But, all right, so I would venture to say it's been on for 28 seasons. 2002, around like the end of the Attitude Era.
2002 is my all-time favorite year.
2002, and I'm giving it 2002. So I think that's season 10. You can correct me if I'm wrong on any of this stuff, sir.
93, I believe it started.
All right. Whatever. So that would be capped off with the WrestleMania 18 Hogan Rock, right?
Second greatest match of all time.
Yep. So I would say
what's the first, Noel?
Hogan Warrior, man.
Obviously.
Yeah.
There we go.
I would rank Hogan Warrior, Hogan Rock, then Hogan Giant. Would probably be
but that
my
match
first.
sucked.
No, but I'm saying as far as iconic. But anyway, See, you get people sucked into this shit.
Go ahead.
God, I'm trying to say that the show's done, and you're trying to suck me into nostalgia shit.
It's nostalgic.
All right, well, anyway, that had Kurt Angle, Edge, Christian, Rock, Jericho. The list goes on and on. I mean, it was a stacked lineup.
The greatest roster of all time.
Yeah. I mean, Mankind, just the whole thing. So Mick Foley, for those who don't know him as Mankind.
Cactus Jack, Dude Love, whoever.
But I would say after that, I mean, man, it had TNA, it had everything. Anything anybody could possibly think of, that show had. And it was like Kurt Angle was the square because he was like...
it was so good.
It was, oh, man. Oh, he was so awesome during that time period. But after that, And after they lost, like Austin wasn't around that much, and then I think Edge and Christian kind of broke off. They weren't a tag team after that period of time. I don't know. It just lost its luster after the Attitude Era. I guess they didn't have that competition that they had to deal with anymore and show, hey, everyone, come on, everyone, come see the boobs on Trish or whoever the hell it is.
That'll make me stop.
But after that, I think it was a serious drop-off, and I honestly, I can say I probably haven't watched it regularly since, unless you text me and say, Noel, you got to check this out. There's a surprise character on it.
How's Royal Rumble 2019? Watch that one yet?
It's on my DVR. Taking up space.
I absolutely agree. Yes, I still do watch this show, but there's no conceivable way I can sit through 3 hours. Noel, when I tell you, and I'm not exaggerating, I probably watch 15 minutes of a 3-hour show. I fast forward. I even fast forward to the matches.
Why then?
I don't know. I have some problem. It's like, being a fan of a team.
Like a recovered heroin addict that every once in a while, like, you see a needle on TV and you're like, you know what? Every once in a while, it's not that big of a deal.
Right, maybe. I relate to being a fan of the Washington football team / Redskins. I'm a glutton for punishment, I guess, hoping one day it'll recapture what it used to be. Wrestling will never do that for me. But there are exciting times like WrestleMania. WrestleMania season's coming up. This is a good time to watch it. The Royal Rumble's awesome. But, the majority of it's just not good. And
hey, everybody has their things. This is yours. But
I want to let you know, and you may not even remember this. You know who got me into wrestling?
No.
You.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I remember specifically, I was 5 or 6, and you said you were making fun of Brutus the Barber Beefcake. You were like, the guy's a barber, and you should see, like, you were trying to explain to Mom, and I was like, my ears perked up. I was like, it sounds pretty good. And then I was like, I was hooked ever since.
And that was it. Brutus the Barber Beefcake. Done.
He's the worst. But
the worst. That was the one that hooked you?
Well, no. And then we and then we watched, Superstars in the morning.
I'm sorry that I had that conversation with you. I mean, positives and negatives have come of it. But, I just think that it's worn out its welcome. That's all I can say.
Okay, real quick. WrestleMania is coming up.
Oh, my gosh.
Vince McMahon, you're going to love this. It's 2 nights at Raymond James Stadium. He wants to have 45,000 people there each night, and then it only holds 65,000 people.
Cool.
So he wants to have, the way that he explained it, the most people in the same location since COVID started. I don't think anybody wants that.
He always has to be like
the first.
The groundbreakers. You see, if they've had 100,000 in the Sky Dome, we're gonna have 110,000 at the Sky Dome.
They always lie about the number anyway.
Yeah,
but,
I know.
It's
he's just a piece of shit. He's a used car salesman, Matt. He always has been. And hey, if they want it, believe me, most of the people go there don't give a shit about COVID anyway.
It's
all right?
No. Don't.
Stop it.
Stop. Gorilla, nicely done. WrestleMania is nerds. It's like a convention, a con or whatever. There are not rednecks who go to WrestleMania. You've been to a WrestleMania. You saw the people that were there.
Okay.
So don't give me that shit, the stereotypical bullshit that only rednecks watch wrestling.
Down at Raymond James during COVID time, that might be the ones that go, is my point. Anyway, again, I probably shouldn't have even added this one onto the list because I knew it would go on way longer than it should have. So let's move on. What's your number 2, please?
All right. One other thing. I'm just kidding. All right, my number 2 is The Walking Dead.
Oof.
You want to talk about a show that was
laid out,
fucking amazing when it first started.
Yeah.
From Rick shooting the little girl in the head. First scene
Spoiler
of the first
alert.
episode. Yeah, if you haven't seen it, sorry.
Yeah.
To now, I don't even know what's going on. It's gotten so out of control, and they've just completely lost their way. And that's another show that's killed off too many good people. Same idea.
Yeah, same idea as The Sopranos. Shock value, getting rid of the people, freaking the people that they beloved. And that came to its ugly head in season 5 when they killed off Beth. For whatever reason, all of a sudden after she was dead, they gave a shit. That little blonde girl. She sucked. And she died a stupid death in that hospital. And that was like, okay, now they're forcing deaths. just to do deaths. And that was the downfall of the show. If you want to watch fucking Walking Dead, don't watch it after season 5. It's done. After they leave freaking Terminus, done.
Well, I think what put a bad taste in most people's mouths was when Negan crushed the Asian guy's head and when his eye popped out and all that.
That was a good scene.
That was amazing.
I mean, and it's legit. It's from the comic book, at least.
No, I'm not saying that it wasn't awesome. It was hard to watch. People have said, like, it was such a hard scene to watch that they didn't want to watch it anymore. And that's when the ratings plummeted, and they haven't been up since. Because it was like the violence got so out of control. You know, they had to keep topping themselves.
Yeah.
It was just too much. And it was a tough episode to watch.
You want to speak about a repetitive show?
Oh, my God.
I mean,
Bad
all
guys.
It is, every single season is a fucking video game. Mm-hmm. If it were an 8-bit game, it'd have like dun, 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 like going through the freaking woods, bring, like killing a fucking zombie, and then you get to the boss. One year it's the freaking guy with the eye patch. The other next year it's the guy.
What
with
a season that was!
The guy with the fake zombie people. Then it's that don't talk. And then it's the guys with the freaking stormtrooper outfits on. I mean, it's like, holy shit, every season you got like a leader boss that's like 8-bit, like, like at the end. It's so dumb.
Yeah.
And you're like, bring, and each person has their own weapon, you know, like they're good with.
Oh, it's so stupid. Yeah. Anybody who has a little knife, why would you ever have that?
Why? There's a woman that has a damn katana blade and I'm walking around with a pickaxe. Are you fucking kidding me? There's a guy that has a crossbow and a sawed-off shotgun, and I'm walking around with, like, a dagger.
Like the short ones, too.
Yeah, the short ones. That,
we're
like,
not talking about a machete
that
here.
You have to grab the head of the zombie
right.
and make sure you get it in all the way into the brain.
Yeah.
It's such a dumb show, and it becomes like, anybody ever watch Starship Troopers? That stupid fucking movie? Yeah. The bugs are impossible to kill. It took like 800 people to kill one bug at the beginning. Then by the end, they're piles of them everywhere. It's just a crime scene after. And that's the same with the zombies. Now the zombies are like this side note, like the little dagger guy goes pop pop and can kill like 3 in 2 seconds.
In fairness, if it was real, I mean
they've become more savvy and know how to kill
but
them.
They're also, this is years later, they're all rotted out.
It's so dumb. The show's ridiculous. The acting is over. Rick was horrific by the end of when he left the show. His overacting. What the fuck was his son's name? And
Carl.
I mean, golly, man. Shut the hell up.
Yeah.
Dumb show. And the funny thing is, I have like 50 of them on my DVR saying, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna binge watch this shit.
Don't do it.
And I'm just gonna empty it out. I need that space.
It's
good call on the putting it on the list though. That one got me fired up quick.
I have to keep watching it to see what happens though. And I know it's gonna disappoint me. Whatever happens, it's going to disappoint me.
I'm kind of glad that I stopped.
Do yourself a favor. There's no reason to start if you're 50 episodes behind. I'm just, again, a glutton for punishment. All right. We're at number 1. And
uno.
Let me stop you right here. If you haven't noticed, if you've listened to the show before, we do a lot of Simpsons references. A lot. And some you probably don't even realize, but we do. So when we talked about this, Noel and I didn't discuss the other shows, but we knew that number 1 would be The Simpsons.
Oh, locked in.
Yeah. There was no way. There was no other option.
Yeah, I mean, when we were talking about, I mean, we didn't even have, it was an unwritten rule. It's going to be Simpsons. And there's nothing that's going to beat that out.
So if you don't know what The Simpsons is, I'm just kidding.
The premise of the show.
Well, it's been on for 32 years. I hope you've caught 1 or 2. Which is an ungodly amount of seasons.
Oh, that is just disgusting.
What is this, Sesame Street? What the fuck
My
is
God. Hey, speaking of one that might have lost its way, I haven't watched it in a while, but that one might be played out.
I've had to watch Sesame Street lately.
If Mr. Rogers' neighbor, if he was still alive, that show might be played out too. And wheeling himself out there to play with those puppets.
Yeah. I always have nightmares about those puppets. They're fucking freaky. I mean, not anymore, but you know. But yeah, The Simpsons, to me, the greatest 8 seasons in television history. I mean, Seinfeld's really close, but we're talking about comedies. Just nothing touches it.
I don't know. The first season sucked.
Hold on. I'm not.
Okay.
First and second season were not good. It was like, hello, boy.
Yeah.
With Homer, he didn't really sound like Homer. He wasn't really stupid.
Yeah,
and then you got to get your.
It was that Tracy Ullman shit still kind of carried over just on a half-hour version.
I mean, shit. It takes a while to figure out. Shit.
Yeah, of course.
Have you heard our first few episodes? Sounds like we were in a goddamn in a space shuttle or something.
Yeah, we're in the chunnel.
So it takes a minute, but
yeah,
I think we figured it out quicker than The Simpsons did. But regardless of that. Say I'm like an encyclopedia for wrestling. I'm an encyclopedia for the seasons 3 through 10 of The Simpsons. I can watch them anytime, whenever they're on. My son, Evan, loves them. We watch them together. No Halloween episodes. I try to Treehouse of Horrors. I try to keep those. But, those slip in once in a while. It's the greatest television ever written. Conan O'Brien was a writer at the time, during that time period.
It was just all around.
And it's still... You can watch it. It's timeless. It's not anything like, watching Friends. It's like, oh, that's so 90s. That's tough to watch. Maybe people disagree with that. I don't know. But The Simpsons just timeless. And, it's a shame that out of 32 seasons, 7 or 8 were actually the greatest on television.
Well, they tried to do shit like current. They tried to be like, bring up current stuff and do like these little side jokes that were of the time instead of just
whatever the fuck
doing
the collar neck thing.
Doing stupid shit, or like when you hear Homer say something about memes, I have an issue with that.
It makes me ill. Yeah, I can't do that.
It makes me sick.
It should be timeless, just like how those other seasons were.
Why is Homer talking about emojis? It's just stupid.
I know this is what happened. So, in certain colleges, they have Simpsons classes, for all the stereotypes, like Apu and,
they have them they have one at Harvard, I think.
I would love to take that class, but
hell yeah.
I think I'd do all right on it. But, Groundskeeper Willie and, all the stereotypes that are in The Simpsons, they started to believe their own hype is what it was. Yeah. They're like, oh my God, we're really groundbreaking shit. And now we have to take it up a notch to still be different and still be cutting edge, but it's just stupid. I don't remember last time I've seen a new episode, and maybe it's good again. I don't know. I highly doubt it.
It's not, because sometimes every once in a while they'll have those marathons on FX or whatever.
FXX,
sorry.
It's all right.
And I'll throw it on. And even Ryan, and we'll be watching them as a family sometimes, and even the younger kids, my kids are 15 and 11, they watch the newer episodes like, what the hell is this? Because they've seen the older ones, with Homer with Pinchy, the lobster, and
Homie the Clown,
and shit like that. And they've seen those episodes, and then they see this, they're like, what the hell? Why is Kim Kardashian in a fucking episode?
That's another problem. They had far too many guests. Again, we're cutting edge, we're hip, or whatever. And when they started all that, because I don't know if they were running out of ideas or whatever it was, they had far too many guest appearances, and then they just lost their way. And a couple of the new ones, it's like it starts out okay. And I'm like, okay, this might be... And then you want to talk about... I mean, it's like every episode's a microcosm of how shitty the show is now.
Yeah. It is.
It starts out strong, and then it's done.
I just want simple stuff like Homer going, whoop, 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 whoop. Shit like that. I don't need all this, groundbreaking government crap and what social atmosphere and culture is going on at the time. I want an idiot that fucking eats like a goddamn pig, is stupid as shit, and gets into antics. Yeah. That's all I want out of my Simpsons. So
that's it. Well, it's a shame, but we'll always have those seasons, and if you continue listening to the show, more Simpsons quotes will be coming.
Right.
But that's going to do it for this episode, Noel. I think that's it for this 100th episode.
That's awesome.
Before I do the same old close here, which, like a robot with that, but I wanted to thank everyone who has stuck by us throughout these 100 episodes. If there's anybody out there that has, I don't know, but you're the real heroes here, so thank you for that.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you, Matt. Whoever's out there, you're loyal.
Yes.
Damn loyal.
Yes. And I know a couple of you, and thank you. But seriously, it's been a lot more work than either of us could have imagined. When we first started this, we're going to do this 5 days a week. We're just going to put these out. No problem. It's like, shit. Well, that stopped pretty quickly. But but it's, but if you really think about it, though, Noel, it's allowed us to interview people that we would have never thought in a million years we'd ever speak to.
Right.
Like Bram. We just had him on the show, or to a lesser extent, Modderno, you know?
To a lesser extent, he loves that. No, but really, though, and people talk about, on these stupid award shows and all that shit, it's all about the fans. But really, I will say this. I am who I am on the show, and I'm usually this way in real life.
Yes, I can vouch for that.
And I've always known that I was kind of out there. And this show has really channeled that for me, and people seem to somewhat enjoy us, Matt. And that is really a nice feeling that we have our antics. We were born this way. We've always talked shit to each other, and now we're just have a format for it, and it's fun. It's fun. We have our headaches with it, but I think it's been a blast so far, and I want to continue on, and as long as you all will have us.
Well, we can still make this and nobody has to listen to it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's still
a
possibility. Or I could just
go back to my old ways and just scream when I'm in the shower and cry.
Yeah. Fall in a fetal position.
Yeah.
I just think about, shit, we interviewed Doc Walker twice. Doc Walker knows who we are now, I think. Maybe,
I don't know. Who knows? Hey, we're doing our best, and we like what we do, and we like the people, and we like the feedback from everybody that's coming, and let's do another 100.
Yeah, and thank you to all the people that have been on the show that have taken up their time with us idiots, and free of charge, of course. We don't pay anybody to be on the show, so we just take up their time, and they're very nice about it. And last but not least, thanks to you, Noel.
Oh man, you're welcome, and thanks to you, Matt. You've been killing it. You're one of the big reasons for the show's success. I'm just a loudmouth on here. You do all the back-breaking labor on it. So it's been fun, a headache, but hey, I love being on the show with you. It's brought us closer together, sometimes further apart, but for the most part, it's been a blast, and it's something that we can talk about when we're old.
Yeah. Hey, how many podcasts can say that they hit 100 episodes? Not many, but couldn't imagine doing this with anybody but you, Noel. Even though I have imagined it from time to time. But it's right. But, like you said, here's to another 100 episodes, and I tend to bitch and complain, but this has really been the thrill of a lifetime. I never thought I'd be in this situation, so it's pretty awesome. But now back to my robotic statement of we're on all major podcast platforms. Please rate, review, and subscribe. If you like the show, please share it on social media. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, the Facebook group, and our website, BeltwaySportsPros.com. Thanks again for joining us, and we will see you on Tuesday.